Welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. This is episode 1091, my interview with Koen Geron, and we're discussing online dating and how to improve your chances. Hey Koen, welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. Great to have you here today.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you, and this is going to be a very interesting conversation today. One that I think most of the audience will probably be very interested to listening to. Because you're the founder of Hovalo, which is a online, not a dating app, but you help manage people's dating apps. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly correct. So instead of starting everything from scratch, what we just use is we use the database and use the database of the big dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. So because the benefit is that you have access to people, right? When it comes to dating apps, the power of the dating app is purely the users that are there. So that's what we do for clients. We manage their dating profiles for them.
What a great idea. Because as you said, you work with professionals, entrepreneurs, people that potentially lead busy schedules. And you mentioned a really interesting fact to me just before we got on the show here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that most people on average spend 45 hours a month on dating apps. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. The research was done by okcupid.com, which is a dating platform. But yeah, the average user just spends a lot of time, and it's not actually that difficult to get to the 45 hours. It's like 1.5 hours a day. So there's some swiping, some texting going on there, and it very easily can go up to 1.5 hours per day. And some people are even more on it. So if you're a very busy schedule, and that's actually also the reason why I started this business, is because if you're doing a lot of things in your life, the last thing that you want to do is have 45 hours per month going to something that you often don't enjoy, because that's the reality as well. Most online dating users actually don't like online dating.
Yes, no, I've recently experienced it myself, and I can testify to that. Interesting, because I heard recently that the average American, I don't know what the figures are like in the rest of the world, but probably very similar here in Australia, spend about 2 hours a day scrolling through social media. So potentially people on dating apps are spending more time on dating apps than they are on social media.
Yeah, and it's in some ways it's actually similar when you think about it, because you get the dopamine hits from social media. You also get them from dating apps, because you can just swipe and meet a new person, and then you can swipe again and meet a new person. So that's also where a lot of the time waste comes in, is that you just have a situation where you can just be swiping and swiping purely for dopamine hits and try to get the next date and try to get the next date.
What are your thoughts on that, the dopamine? I know you talk about how dopamine can sort of ruin our lives or control our lives.
I think it's a dangerous aspect when it comes to online dating, because you have access to this vast pool, right? And that's not how humans used to operate for the last thousands of years. We used to always have tribes where you have access to, let's say, between 5 and maximum, let's say 5,000 people if you're living in a big city back in the days. But most of the time it was fairly small number of people that you have access to. So then you just pick the one that you think is most compatible, and then you just stick with that, right? But if you live in a big city, you live in Sydney, you live in New York, you live in London, how many millions of people do you have access to? And then it constantly rotates, and people come out of the dating scene and get back in there. So you can just endlessly date people. So that can be addicted to certain people, because you're looking for meeting that new person, looking for meeting that perfect person. But in reality, even if you find that perfect person might not want to date you long term.
It's an interesting world that we live in now with dating in general, and like just talking from experience, going through divorce or separation. That's more and more common, it seems, these days as well. Dating apps probably came from a place of helping people, maybe younger people, meet their first love. I'm not sure where it came about, but what's your experience with that, and how do you think dating apps now affect this world of the grass is greener, and I'm going to give up this partner for something maybe better?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword on a lot of different aspects, because when you look at the data as well, over 40% of all new relationships come from online dating. So it's the main driver of all new relationships, at least
over
biggest driver. Over 40%. So 40 to 50% right now.
Wow, so it's obviously working.
So then you also have, it definitely works. Like we have clients that get married from dating apps. We have clients that get a long-term relationship from dating apps. Now we also have a certain clientele that we just wants to date for a while. Like we also have those, but 70% or 75% around that number of the people of our clientele, they're looking for a serious relationship. They're not looking to date and date and date. They just want to find a very nice person and a very amazing woman, and that they can settle down with.
Yeah, I like it. And the success of the Hovalo, what is the percentage there? Do you have figures around that?
Yeah,
as far as helping
it depends, right? Because it depends on, because there's so many different variables that you have to take into consideration, right? So how good is the client's profile? Does he want to spend all the energy and time that is required in order to upgrade his profile? Because there's a bunch of things that we can do, right? We edit photos, we make them look better, all that kind of stuff. But in general, they need to get photos taken sometimes because the photos are just not up to par to the standard that we would like them to have. And then it's also, if a guy is, let's say, morbidly obese, weighing, let's say, 400 pounds, like that client can want to have a girlfriend that's like a Victoria's Secret model, but that's never going to work out, right? So there's always like a
balance.
There's a balance. You need to see like what is the person offering, what is the client offering, and what can we manage to get him within that scope. And it's also like, where do you live? If you live in a small town with 15,000 people, and there of those 15,000 people, there's maybe like a couple hundred on a dating app in your radius of like 50 miles, it's going to be 10 times harder than when I have a client who lives in a big city with at least 500,000 people. So that's also a big factor. Like, where do you live? How good is your profile? And what are your requirements? Those are the top three. And if we have calls, I have calls with prospects and they tell me, hey, I want this and this and this. I live here, et cetera. And I can see how they look. And if those things don't add up, I'm not going to take those people on as clients, because I just know that it's going to not work out. And in the end, like, they're going to be disappointed because I cannot deliver the things that they want to get.
It's it's a tricky one for you to do that, because as you said earlier, a lot of people on dating apps don't actually like dating apps, but they're on there obviously for a reason. That dopamine hit must keep them on there, I assume, more frequent than they perhaps need to be or want to be.
I think most of the people who are on dating apps are there because they are looking for something. So you kind of have two categories. You have the categories of people that are just looking for something, et cetera, and then you have like the serial daters, right? You have those people that have been single for 5 years, often like a very successful with online dating, who are good looking, have a good profile, know what to say, all those kind of things, and then you have that have time to put into the dating apps. And those people will just date. I was living in Bangkok, and one of my friends who was living in Bangkok, I think he had like 10 dates scheduled in 1 week. 10. So that's more than one every day. So there were like 3 days where he had a date set at like 6 and a date set at 9. So there is a bunch of people who date extreme amounts, because the average male on dating apps is not getting that high volume of like matches to actually do that. So that's a lot of men are dissatisfied with the amount of matches that they're getting and the quality that they're getting, because their profile is bad and they don't know how online dating works.
Yeah, so that seems to be a bit of a flaw in the dating app system, where you have these, and we're talking about men more so than women, and I assume your clientele is more so men than women.
Yes.
But with these dating apps, there seems to be this divergent where you've got these, like you said, men that are maybe good looking, successful, whatever it might be, doing all these dates, and these other men on there that are trying to connect with women but just having no luck at all. And that must be a big difference, I would assume. Like there's probably a 5% top men category that are doing all the dates, and the rest of them aren't doing anything.
And then the worst part is then you will have females, women that will go on dates with those serial dater guys that are amazing, rich, handsome, et cetera, and they just see those girls or those women as like a one-time experience. And then those women think, well, okay, I've had this guy, I've had, let's say, Leonardo DiCaprio type of standard for one night, therefore I want that as my next boyfriend. While at the same time, they're overweight and not successful and not nice people. And like the guy would never date them, because there's a big difference between a man choosing you for one night versus a man choosing to spend the rest of his life. Like the criteria go like up enormously. You can have that's the same thing with, like, you will have men and women that are in a relationship, and let's rate them both like an 8. The guy would have the ability to cheat on that woman with like a 6. And even though that girl would be, or the woman would be a lot less attractive, he would just have his urges, and that's why he would go through it with that. But he would never stick with that 6. He would never like break up his wife to be with that 6. But that 6 might think, hey, I slept with this guy that was an 8, therefore my next boyfriend should be that. So there's like there's a downside if you're not aware of those kind of things as a female. If you're not aware of those kind of things, then it can be very tricky. That's what you see a lot on TikTok as well. You see all these women that have standards that are up here, and at the same time, well, they don't have that much to offer. And what men find important is like looks and personality, and like those are kind of like the main factors. But if you look at what is important for a guy, you kind of have so much more that you can develop. So that's also like a good element, right? As a man, you develop yourself to so much more and offer so much more value. You can, of course, you can also have looks and you can also have character. But as a man, often a lot of comedians are male, and that works very well. You have amazing comedians that are extremely funny, extremely not attractive, but they still end up with the hottest girls purely because they can entertain the woman to such an extent that the woman is like, this guy is hella funny, I want to hang out with him more, you know? And then before you know it, it's locked down and they're in a relationship together. So there, as a man, you can develop your personality and who you are to a greater extent, I think, than as a female or as a woman.
Okay, so it seems like these dating apps could be causing a lot of frustration amongst men and women for those reasons Definitely. You mentioned. I mean, they seem quite a bit superficial too. Do you find that there's a bit of a flaw there that, you know, people are jumping on there and really just going for looks? And I have heard comments from people that go on these dating apps that, you know, what's on there is not often what's actual, which can be a bit misleading as well. I sell real estate and, you know, I get people coming to houses that we make look really nice online, but may not look as good live.
Yeah.
Do you find that as an issue?
You always have a certain level of like a window shopping, or what's window dressing, right? So there's always an element of like, and definitely females for women are more experienced with using Photoshop, using manipulation, using makeup. There's a lot of manipulation going on, but in general, there's ways to go about it, right? For example, you could have a video call before dating her, and then you can already see if she's actually like not how she really looks on the dating photos.
Okay, so let's talk some tips on dating apps. Again, you've got a great website there that people can go to. Is that just hovalo.com? Yep, hovalo.com.
Yes, hovalo.com.
So people can go over there to check it out if they're interested in your services. But give us some tips on dating apps, people that are out there, maybe on dating apps already or about to get on some dating apps. Are there particular dating apps we should get on? And then once we're there, what's the best thing we can do to help our success?
Yeah, in general, when you live in most places of the Western world, if you're looking for a serious relationship, it's going to be Bumble and Hinge. Those are the two apps. Depends a little bit on location, which one is better. Some locations are still on Tinder, but most apps have, or most people have moved to Bumble and Hinge. And then it's kind of like two things are important. One is your profile, which is often overlooked by a lot of men. Hire a professional photographer to get some professional photos being shot. That's the main key that is important for your profile. Even if you're horrible at writing your bio and your prompts and writing all the things, information on your profile, if your photos are good, you'll get away with a lot more. So getting good photos taken. If you don't have the budget for a professional photographer, go with a friend who takes photos, but don't make the selfies. Stay away from selfies. Don't upload them. Just invest some time and energy and potential money into getting proper photos taken. Once that section is covered, then you need to do the texting. So you do need to spend a certain amount of going back and forth, making sure that you keep up with people. Another very important tip, which is horrible to do, but actually works, is like following up. Just like with sales and business and you name it, you need to follow up. So if a girl doesn't reply to you in 24 hours to 48 hours, we always send another message. And if they don't reply after that, we even send up another message. It goes crazy, but like women have on average between 20 to 100 times more matches and conversations going on than men. So when you put yourself in their shoes, they get bombarded by messages, just bombarded. So it's very normal for them to forget to
makes
reply
sense.
to you.
All right, so some good
Yeah, so
photos. Get rid of the selfies.
yes.
Write your bio and your prompts. Spend some time there, and then once you do start connecting with women, make sure you follow up and pursue.
Yes. Yeah, have interesting conversation. Try to stay away with all the most boring things. Try to spice things up and make it a little bit more fun and interesting for them to talk to you, because they just have so many more conversations. It's kind of important that you're able to capture their interest, you know. So it's saying things that are a little bit more interesting is going to help you a lot more versus saying bland things and doing the same thing over and over. So test, for example, with the opening, test what works and what doesn't work. When you first open the interaction, make a remark about her profile, one of her pictures. Try to stay away from the most generic things. So do like the second thing on your list of things that you notice about her photos, and then tease a little bit, go back and forth, and that will help. One framework that we have that works very well is that you have IEA. So I is for interest, the E is for entertainment, and the A is for attraction. So whenever you send a message, it needs to contain one of those elements, right? It can be something spicy. So, oh, I noticed something on your profile. If I say to somebody, oh, I noticed something on your profile, they want to know what I noticed about her profile because it's about them. And that way they're interested, right? So that's the I part of it. And then you have entertainment, right? Being able to tell stories, being able to say interesting things, use some humor and stuff like that. And then you have the A for attraction, so come across as the person that she wants to end up with, right? So tell the things that make you interested.
Okay, about her profile. Yep, that's the attraction part.
Yeah, so the attraction part is marking. So you should have a list of the things that make you attractive as a human being. So that can be, for example, that you're a business owner, or that you do sports, or that you have a caring family, and those kind of things. And you kind of want to weave them into stories, and you want to tell that in like a subtle way, but share who you are, what you find valuable, and what she might find interesting. And that will create value, because that way the person thinks, oh, this guy is interesting. To give you a prime example, the first day with my girlfriend, she was telling me that she met Brad Pitt, and then she met Cristiano Ronaldo, and all those kind of stories. And I was like, what the heck is this? You know, she was just very good at like coming up with things that are like, she works in sales, so it makes sense, you know, but she is very good at like saying those kind of things that will impress the other person. But you want to say it in such a way that it comes off as nonchalant, and it comes off as not a show off, right? People don't like show offs. So if you do it in the wrong way, you're losing points. Like they will hate you for it, right? If you're like, oh yeah, I got a Ferrari, you know, like that's a bad thing to say, you know. But if you say like, oh, what is your hobby? And it's like, oh, I like to drive my car around the track. That, oh, you have a nice car? Yeah, I bought a Ferrari recently. It's pretty cool. I like it. If you say it in that way, it comes off natural. So that's a big difference versus dropping your Ferrari keys on the table, right? So those are kind of like differences of like showing your value.
So did your partner really meet or date Brad Pitt and Ronaldo?
She met them. She had photos, but she's just very good at it, because like every interaction she has with people, she's very good at like showing off the things that other people find interesting.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting point. So, anything that we're doing wrong, or people are doing wrong on dating apps? I mean, you probably just covered some of them by what we can do right, but any other points you want to point out as far as what we should stop doing to find our next partner?
And after a couple of messages back and forth, try to schedule the date. It's kind of different from person to person. Some people, they will try to schedule the date in the first message. That's often not the best course of action. And other people, they wait a month, 2 months before trying to schedule a date. Try to figure out a little bit.
But like both men and women, is there a difference there between men and women? Like,
it's person related, because it's very much person related. What's the optimal time? So, and if it's too soon for the other person, you will probably notice that, and the conversation is not lost. So don't be afraid to just be like, hey, you sound interesting, let's grab a drink. That's it. That's the only thing that you need to say. conversation is closed, and then you move it offline. And then once the person agrees to go out on a date with you, don't go silent. A big important thing, don't go silent until that date happens. Make sure that you send a message every day or every other day so it doesn't go cold.
Yeah. Good point. So, and a good transition too. So yeah, getting on the apps, obviously having those conversations, sparking up those conversations with the IEA methodology, and then going on a date. Any tips there, like on perhaps where people are getting that wrong as far as the dates or what they should be doing?
Don't go to dinner. Stop doing dinners. One, it saves you money because you don't have to go to expensive places and stuff. Because you're eating, she's eating. There's a lot of like silence. It's a little bit awkward when you're eating in like a restaurant. It's a better activity to do later on. Just go for drinks or go for coffee. One of those two, easy. And then what you want to do is like systematize things a little bit. Unless you're an advanced dater. If you're not an advanced dater, make sure that you're comfortable and you keep most of the variables in check. So do the same date over and over again. One of my best friends from back in the days, he used to cook paella. He cooked paella at a lot of different girls, but it was his routine. He went to the same supermarket, picked the same food, and then it was very easy because everything was so the same to focus on the interaction, focus on her instead of having to be like, oh, what am I going to eat? And having to think about that. No, do the same thing. And then try to tell a little bit of similar stories. And then you'll notice during the day, hey, this story works well and this story works less. Ask questions, talk about her past, talk about her future. Where is she right now? What are things that she likes about her life? What are things that she doesn't like about her life and that she wants to change? If you cover those things, you have an emotional connection with her and things should go very well.
Okay. Good tips, mate. You guys are the guys at it. So, again, thanks for coming on. You've shared a lot of information for those people on dating apps or looking to get on those dating apps. And you provide a service which helps them save that 45 hours a month, which I think is bloody brilliant. How can people best reach out and connect? And what are the starting points for them on Hovalo?
Yeah, so the way that we have information on our website, hovalo.com, so HOVALO.com. We have some information regarding photos, et cetera. But if people are interested in like having us help them out, they can just book a call and we can actually figure out like, hey, what is your current situation? Where would you like to be? And is there any shape or form which we can help?
Yeah, okay, great. Love it. So guys, I'll stick the links in the show notes. Koen, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
We send a few people your way. Guys, check it out at thehiddenwhy.com. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon.
Thanks, guys, for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. I hope you love what you're hearing. If you like this episode, guys, or any of the episodes that you're listening to here at The Hidden Why, please do me a favor by sharing it. You can share it with your families, you can share it with your loved ones. You can do that by using your favorite social media channels, using the icons on the platform that you're listening to The Hidden Why podcast. Also, guys, if you're a fan of the show, please connect with me. Connect with me at thehiddenwhy.com. I love to hear from you. I love to converse with the people that listen to this show to find out what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy, and perhaps if they have any questions or feedback for the show as well. You can stay up to date with all that I'm releasing here, guys. I do a solo show every Monday, a 3-minute thought every Thursday. I do 2 interviews a week on a Wednesday and a Saturday, and a book review every Friday. You can stay up to date with all that by subscribing to my newsletter at thehiddenwhy.com. Just enter your email address there, and also subscribing to the podcast on the platform that you choose to listen to your podcast. You can also support the show, guys, by using the Amazon links at thehiddenwhy.com. So if you like books, you can get all the books that I review there, and anything else really that you like to purchase through Amazon. So use that link, it helps support the show. And we've also got a deal with Audible, guys. Audible is a fantastic way to listen to all your favorite books. We've got a deal with them so you can get 2 free books when you subscribe subscribe to a 30-day free trial. So check that out again at thehiddenwhy.com. Guys, that's it from me. You know what to do. Go out there, breathe more passion into every single moment. Do everything with greater purpose. And in doing so, you will discover your hidden why. This is The Hidden Why. My name's Lee Martinuzzi. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon.